Howdy, howdy, howdy. My name's Anachi Sasuke, and welcome back to Let's Read the SCP Foundation Wiki. It's been a long time. According to my phone, it's been like 3, 4 months, however many months 90 days is. I'm sorry, but according to the analytics app on my phone, the last SCP we read was the Fancy Talking Soup at 1354, which means in this episode we're going to be reading the House of Harmonious Boxes, Rubber Ducky, the Children's Park, Northern Lights, and Indulgence in Flesh. I think that's five. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, alright, so before we start, someone had asked me if, or asked slash recommended that I do each individual SCP as its own video. It sounds like what they wanted me to do was to record the video and then cut them into pieces. I'm not going to do that. What I am going to do is finish doing the 1300s as I've been doing, and then from the 1400s on, maybe have each SCP be its own little itty bitty episode, because recording them like that on purpose makes more sense to me than recording a whole video and then slicing it apart, because that's going to take forever. With the tech that I have, it'll take like 30,000 years. So let's check out that House of Harmonious Boxes. Also, I'm experimenting with recording this without wearing a headset. I've never done that before, mainly because I try to hear my own voice as little as possible. But if any of these entries have sound in the entries, I'm not going to be able to click them because then the microphone's going to pick it up. So, 1355 is Euclid. SP, Special Containment Procedures. The property surrounding 1355 is currently under Foundation management and is to remain fenced off under the guise of an ongoing renovation. A security perimeter patrolled by guards is to be maintained at all times. Any civilians attempting to approach 1355 are to be turned away under the pretense of keeping the renovation site clear. If it's harmonious boxes, why you gotta... It sounds like they'd be friendly. Individuals of 1355-1 amongst identical storage boxes. An example of a camera malfunction believed to occur when it is in motion. Okay, maybe it's not as friendly as it sounds. As SCP-1355 possesses no windows and equipment installed periodically malfunctions, the building is to be remotely monitored using thermal imaging. Due to the results of Incident 1-23, as part of a safety measures, A23 electricity is provided to the building. The safety measure is A23, not that it's A23 electricity. My bad. All lights within 1355 are to remain on for 12 hours each day, operated by a switch box located outside of 1355. A population count of 1 is to be carried out weekly. Description: SP-1355 is a one-story building located in the old blankety-blank school district of somewhere. Records recovered from the city's archives list the building as an elementary school scheduled for renovation. When initial investigations were carried out by the Foundation, 1355 was being used as a temporary book storage site. As such, furnishings within consist primarily of tables, small chairs, and numerous stacks of boxes containing textbooks. 1355 is believed to be inhabited by a colony of life forms designated as 1. Individuals of 1 are believed to be visually indistinguishable from the textbook containing boxes stored in 1355. Thermal imaging has revealed that individuals of 1 possess a thermal signature similar to that of humans. However, the signature dissipates while 1 is in motion. Attempts to capture a specimen of 1 have failed. Subjects who encounter 1 report hearing multiple voices, often described as beautiful and singing a song familiar to the subject. The music of 1 is observed to induce a sense of calmness in subjects. See logs for further details. In lieu of interviews, a simple written questionnaire was provided to each subject. Subjects recovered from 1355 were rendered incapable of phonation or voicing. Resonance imaging has revealed the larynx of each subject to be missing. Notably, none of the subjects appear concerned over or even aware of their loss. Subjects are convinced that they are able to use and hear their voice despite being informed otherwise. Note: all disposable dudes who have encountered 1 during experimental exploration were recovered from the front office of 1355. They all appeared to be asleep, and none of them could remember how they got there. Personnel charged with subject recovery reported no sightings of any beings which may have been responsible for relocating the subjects. Okay, questionnaire. So it sounds like the reason they have to answer the questionnaire is because when they hear the boxes, they wake up in the lobby with no voice box. Question The interview is with D18243. What did you hear when you entered the building? I heard singing. Do you remember which room you were in when you began to hear something? Some room with boxes. Did you recognize what you heard? I think it was called Love's Greeting, Salute D something. It was played at my sister's wedding. Describe the quality of the sound. It was beautiful. How did it make you feel? Happy, very happy, like I couldn't remember ever anything sad ever happened to me. Did you make any vocal noises in response to what you heard? I hummed a little. Do you remember falling asleep in the building? Not really. I remember waking up. Any other comments? Can I go back there? Okay, so it sounds like maybe just don't make any noise when you hear it and you get to keep your voice box. This time is D13526. What did you hear? I believe I heard people singing. Which room? The one with the smaller rooms. Most were empty, but I remember it had some boxes in it. Did you recognize what you heard? Some song my father used to sing to me, a lullaby. Describe the quality. Wonderful, amazing, like a choir of angels. How'd it make you feel? A little sleepy, but peaceful. Never felt so peaceful. It was so soothing. Did you make any vocal noises in response to what you heard? Of course, I sang along. Do you remember falling asleep in the building? Not at all. I must have dozed off somehow. Any other comments? I would like to go back. I want to hear it again. Questionnaire of 1292. What did you hear? Sounded like singing or something. You remember which room you were in? Room with boxes. It was my favorite song when I was little. It was fucking gorgeous. How did it make you feel? Awesome. It was so beautiful. I could have listened to it forever. Did you make any noises in response? Hell yes, I sang. You remember falling asleep? Nope. I want to listen more. Take me back there. Let me listen again. Y'all stupid. Addendum 1. As part of preliminary trials for Experiment 1355 1-5, blank, voiceless subjects were allowed to re-enter one at a time while the test was documented using a series of thermal imaging cameras. See log D19574, excerpt from experiment log. Video log obtained from the thermal imaging camera. Begin log. Time something 412. Why is the hour blocked out? It's right. Why did you block out the hour there if it's right there? Individuals of one distinguishable by thermal signature. Visual indicates several individuals of one scattered throughout multiple rooms of 1355. Subject enters. Subject walks through. One seen quickly converging into a single room. Subject enters room containing entire colony of one. Thermal signature of one disappears. Thermal signature of subject disappears. Thermal signature of one reappears. Individuals of one are shown scattered throughout the room. One individual's moved to different rooms. Thermal signature of subject undetected. Addendum 2. As of some point of the third of some month at some point, Experiment 1-5 and any similar testing have been suspended indefinitely. Note: the last robot probe we sent into 1355 managed about 2 minutes before its camera started malfunctioning. What's left of the subjects will have to stay there. Dr. Kiryu. Kiryu Labs Hub. Addendum 3. It has been noted that 2 days after Experiment 1-5 was carried out, the population of 1 was observed to have increased by approximately double digits. Note, we risked sending in another probe. The remains are gone. Dr. Kiryu. So, it sounds like the boxes are probably taking the voice boxes so that they can make more noise. And then if the people go back, they eat the people to make more boxes. But I guess it only takes like one person to make 20 boxes, let's say. Because that gap looks too big to be a 10. Anyway, when I saw House of Harmonious boxes, I was thinking like, oh, the boxes live together harmoniously, not they sing and then you lose your voice and then you die. I should have known better. Not very many SCPs are happy. Next up, Rubber Ducky. Will it be the ducks from Nightmare Before Christmas with teeth, or will this one actually be fine? It says it's safe, but it's also got these excerpts. So I guess it's only safe because it's a rubber duck. 1356 is kept in a small box in the storage facilities of Research Sector 9, unless approved for removal and transportation. 1356 is a small bath toy resembling one of several generic rubber duck designs. Tests indicate that the object is made of plasticized polyvinyl chloride. It is designed to emit a sharp squeak when squeezed. That doesn't sound like something kids should be playing with in a bathtub. When held by a human subject, the object appears to displace liquid water. If a subject holding the toy attempts to enter a lake or pool, for example, they will find that all liquid within an area extending approximately 152.4 by 81.3 by 55.7 centimeters from the body disappears. I don't know how much that is. I'm just going to assume it's big enough to, like, dry a person. Which makes it useful for what rubber duckies usually do. Maybe it's just the bathtub amount. I don't know. Tests performed in a small indoor pool revealed that the approximate volume of water before and after exposure to 1356 remained consistent. However, even in the presence of a subject holding the anomalous duck, water levels were never observed to rise. This suggests that the object displaces the liquid to an unknown location from which it eventually returns. No unusual or foreign substances have yet been detected in displaced water, although pH levels indicate a slight increase in acidity. That's probably not good. As the depth of displaced water never exceeds an average of 46 centimeters, the subject walking into a deep pool will eventually find their feet and legs submerged while the rest of the body remains dry. Interesting. Even rigorous motions and leaps, however, never suffice to bring the upper body into contact with water. The rectangular dry space seamlessly shifts to accommodate even the most abrupt movements. Testing to discover the parameters of this phenomenon, as well as potential practical uses, are ongoing. See enclosed documents for dates and results. I would think it would be useful for, like, deep sea explorations, but going deep enough for that would probably destroy your legs. I don't know. The Tantalus effects. Objective: determine parameters of dry space. Procedure: subjects of various heights instructed to enter the water with 1356 at depths never exceeding the subject's shoulder height. Subjects encouraged to make every effort to bring hands or face into contact with the water surrounding the dry space created by the object. Results: so long as the subject is in standing depth of water, the dry space will shift in accordance with the subject's motions, appearing to create a mobile, rectangular indent in the water. This phenomena, for unknown reasons, does not apply to the lower extremities in depths exceeding 46 centimeters. When test subject bends, water recedes rather than come into contact with hands or upper body. Dry space appears to maintain its shape and volume as a rule. If subject at sufficient depth bends to the point of resting on hands and knees, the dry space will be covered over with water. Subjects report no change in air pressure, however, breathability of air is limited. The greatest depth at which the total submission of subject and dry space could be achieved was approximately 1.5 meters, depending on height of the subject. Alright, let's shrink that there, Tantalus, and insufficient life raft. Objective: determine whether dry space displacement can be used to keep subject afloat in deep water. Procedure: 4 subjects of sufficient strength and flexibility instructed to carry the duck into a water depth of 2.5 meters and attempt to draw legs up into the dry space. Results: all subjects report the same results with variable degrees of difficulty and time elapsed before exhaustion. The following rules have now been consistently demonstrated. 1. Once the subject is out of standing depth, dry area that it creates around the subject maintains its shape, volume, and orientation at the surface of the water. 2. Out of standing depth, the subject's orientation inside dry area becomes fixed, floating at waist depth. Subject will now be able to submerge hands and forearms in water below waist level, but any attempts to raise this water in handfuls is impossible. 3. Attempts to reorient upper and lower body inside dry space are exhausting but prove fruitless. In addition, remaining in this suspended state for more than 10 minutes negatively impacts the circulation of the blood to the lower body, resulting in intense cramping and faintness. Okay, so I was right about that, even though I thought I knew what I was talking about. Sinking test. Objective: test object's anomalous properties when not carried in contact with a human subject. Procedure: it is placed in a small pool. Result: object does not displace any amount of water or affect pH levels in any significant way. It floats. Procedure 2. It is placed in a small pool and bombarded with jets of water and various items. Results: despite the object's pliant PVC materials being easily damaged outside of water, when placed in any volume of water sufficient to keep it afloat, it appears to resist all attempts to sink or damage it, bobbing but always remaining upright and afloat. Well, with this object's origins in mind, these results might be a prompting to examine the events and outcomes of Incident F-1992 more closely. Always struck me as our business, Dr. Druva. Addendum 1. Prolonged exposure to the duck, hereafter defined as a sustained interval approaching or exceeding 2 hours in any depth of water, appears to affect the subject's skin, which takes on the prune-like texture associated with autonomic nerve responses to prolonged contact with water. After 2.5 hours of exposure, a subject was also found to be significantly dehydrated despite receiving fluids before exposure to 1356 and sweating minimally. Addendum 2, note. Of course, it seems we haven't been testing the item's intended purpose. I'd imagine my nephew would say it works rather well. Dr. C. So is this from Dr. Wondertainment or what? It just is an indestructible duck. Yeah, this seems like one of those SCPs where it's probably not going to hurt anybody to just let it be in the wild. Unless the people are doing weird, stupid stuff like the Foundation was. The children's park is apparently safe. I have doubts. Most SCPs that take in children don't. Anyway, the perimeter of 1357 is to be monitored by Foundation personnel at all times, with a minimum of 2 security personnel posted at every entrance and exit of the park. Any persons approaching 1357 are to be detained by Foundation personnel and administered Class B amnestics. If the persons are carrying instances of B, the instances are to be confiscated and filed in the records room of Site 45, Cabinet 74, for possible future testing. On the 13th of every month, hey, that's today, Foundation agents are to identify the persons receiving the new instances of B, recover the instances, and administer Class B amnestics to the persons involved. Due to the specific personnel required to activate the anomalous properties of 1357, D-Class testing of this anomaly is effectively impossible. Testing of this object may be accomplished by groups of Foundation personnel able to provide the required subjects necessary to manifest A. Any persons involved in testing that are not directly involved in Foundation matters must be administered Class A amnestics after testing and monitored for 2 months for signs of residual memories. Okay. Any subjects showing residual memories are to be re-administered Class A amnestics and monitored for another 2 months. Due to these constraints, all testing must be kept to a minimum and approved by no less than 3 Level 4 and 5 Level 3 personnel. Alright, description. 1357 is a theme park located somewhere in Poland with an area of approximately 4 kilometers squared. And, let's see, no, that's it. I was reading the wrong line. Also, when it said children's park, I was thinking, like, let's go play on the swings, not let's go play on the coasters. There are 4 ticket booths that allow entrance into the park, located at the northern, eastern, southern, and western sides of the area. 1357 houses various attractions normally found at theme parks, such as amusement rides, bumper cars, and assorted booths and stores. No items, commodities, or snacks require currency of any kind to operate or purchase. The types of rides and attractions seem to be influenced by the preferences of the youngest subject in the group activating the anomalous effects. Rides found in non-anomalous theme parks have... I feel like I said that wrong, but whatever. Theme parks have been observed as well as attractions such as sapient foodstuffs and animals, temporal displacements, and extra-dimensional portals. Okay. SCP-1357's anomalous properties are activated when a specified group of people enter the park. The requirements of the group are as follows. At least 2 of them have to be in a relationship, like romantic relationship. Which is ironic because not only is today the 13th, but it's tomorrow's Valentine's Day as of me recording this. At least 1 subject under the age of 18 that identifies the aforementioned subjects as guardians. Each subject must carry an instance of B, which I assume is a ticket. When these requirements are met, a group of human individuals designated as A manifest throughout the anomalous area. They vary in age, ethnicity, sex, and gender. All instances are always uniformly costumed. The costumes are typically based on characters from various media, which looks like it has a little thingy. I didn't mean to click that. Go back up. Go up. Wow, this is a long one. I didn't mean to click that. I just wanted to hover over it. Notable characters that instances have been shown include Winnie the Pooh, Barney the Dinosaur, and Batman. The appearance of A appears to be strongly influenced by the personal experiences of the youngest subject of the group. The instances of A appear within the park as both customers and employees and are noted to be exceptionally amiable. B are the tickets that read, Playland admits 1 person per ticket. Have a magical family experience in the native language of the recipients they are delivered to. Instances of B have been found to be mailed to assorted families around the area, along with directions to the park and a short pamphlet describing 1357. See Addendum 1357 Gamma for an abridged transcription of the pamphlet. Okay. Instances of B are consistently delivered on the 13th day of every month. The Foundation has not yet discovered the source of the tickets, nor has it found a pattern regarding the recipients of B. Families have reportedly received anywhere from 3 to 6 instances of B at once. If a ticket is not redeemed for entrance into the park before the 13th day of the following month, the tickets will disappear. B will allow entrance into the park by any individual, regardless of whether or not they were the intended recipient. Any personnel that are not carrying B that attempt to enter the park will be denied access by several instances of A. SCP-1357 was discovered when the Foundation was alerted to reports of a constantly changing alien amusement park from the town of somewhere in Poland. The claims were investigated and traced back to 1357, which was active at the time of discovery. All citizens of the town were questioned and administered Class B amnestics. Addendum 1357 Gamma. Congratulations! Your family has been selected to participate in some good old family fun at Playland! Parents, bring your kids, and kids, bring your parents. Take some time off working and take some time for playing. We have everything you can want, from roller coasters to parades to fireworks and anything else you can imagine, as long as you remember to ask nicely. If you want to talk to a representative, call us at phone number or visit us online at .com. Foundation calls to this number have revealed no new information other than typical hours of service of the park. Fair enough. Interview log 1357 Lambda 1. On either April the 8th or August the 4th, 2005, Agent Fredericks and his immediate family were equipped with audio recording devices that constantly transmitted to Foundation consoles. They entered 1357 using 3 confiscated instances of B. Fredericks attempted to interview an instance of A. Interviewed 4878, which was dressed similar to Steve from the children's program Blue's Clues. Interviewer Agent Fredericks. Forward, Agent Fredericks had isolated a single A subject out of the population wandering around the park for the purpose of this interview. Can you tell me about this place? Sure. Playland is a place for all your family fun needs. We cater specifically to your family's needs each time and do our best to make sure you're satisfied. Who made you? Mr. Fredericks, that's certainly not important. No members of Fredericks' family had previously revealed their last name to any instances of A. It is important. Please just answer my questions, aside to his daughter. Not right now, sweetie. I'm trying to work. Work? Why, Mr. Fredericks, there's no need to worry about anything so silly as work. Just have fun. Look, your daughter wants you to play. Aside to his daughter, Haley, I'll be there in a minute, I promise. No, I'm not being mean to Steve. Go over with Mom, okay? Speaking to A, I'm afraid that I must work right now. You're exactly why I have my job. I'm sorry, but if you can't relax, I'm afraid you're going to ruin the fun for everyone else if you don't stop. Please just answer the questions. Now, how long has this park been open? I'm terribly sorry to do this, but you seem to be upsetting your daughter. End log. Closing statement. Agent Fredericks was forcibly removed from 1357 by 3 instances of A. His wife attempted to exit the park despite great protest from their daughter. As Adelaide Fredericks attempted to leave the park, several instances of A separated the subjects, preventing Miss Fredericks from re-entering the park and leading their daughter by hand back into the park. One of the individuals was noted as saying, "Don't worry, sweetie. You don't have to leave if you don't want to. They'll be back for you later when you're ready." After the events of interview log 1357 Lambda 1, MTF Delta 2, aka Rescue Rangers, was dispatched in an attempt to recover Haley Fredericks from 1357. Despite superior firepower and training, Delta 2 was outnumbered and overwhelmed by A instances and unable to recover the subject. Further recovery attempts are currently pending. Interview log Lambda 2. Haley Fredericks' audio recording device continued to transmit signals after the events of Lambda 1. The following are episodes of audio received. All voices not possibly identified as belonging to Haley Fredericks are presumed to belong to various instances of A. Say, why are you a girl, Steve? Why, all the boy Steves are busy getting the park ready for you. This was received during the failed MTF recovery attempt. This is so much fun. I never, ever want to leave. I love you, Mr. Steve. I love you too, Haley. I'm so glad you came to join us. Guess what's here, Haley? What is it? What is it? Here comes the mail. It's just a... That's not how the song goes. Oh, she said, it's just a snail. It makes me want to wag my tail. When it comes, I want a whale mail. No, the song goes, the song says, it never fails. Not, it's just a snail. Silly me, I forgot. Anyway, here are your letters. You got one from your mom and dad. Yay! Let's see. Agent Frederick reported that neither he nor his wife had written letters to their daughter during this time. Thank you, Steve. I can't read. Can you tell me what this one says? Of course, honey. Dear Haley, we hope you're having a lot of fun. We would love to come visit, but we have so much work and we are tired. Just send us a letter when you want to come home and we'll be there right away. P.S. Daddy says to brush your teeth. And here's the biggest bedroom we have. You get to sleep here, Haley. I hope you like it. We made that big thinking chair just for you. We made sure it was big enough and snugly enough to sleep on every night. Oh, I love it. Thank you, Mr. Stevie. Why are my mommy and daddy coming in? I thought I wrote that letter so good. Oh, Haley, maybe they're just busy. I'm sure they'll be right here as soon as they read that letter. Okay, so she's having fun, but she wants to know when she has to go home. Her legs hurt. She's been waiting forever, but it says they're coming on Saturday, front entrance. So she goes back inside for a slushie. Did we say yesterday? Sorry, we forgot. We were real busy doing our grown up things and didn't remember. She sniffles. Do mommies and daddies sometimes stop loving their babies? Sometimes, I think. Why do you ask? I think they stopped loving me. Oh, dear friend, don't be upset. We're here to love you even if your mean old parents won't. Forever? Forever! Promise? Promise. We'll be here for you even if they won't. Okay. She wants her mom and dad. Brand new playground, all for you. Aren't you having fun anymore? I miss mom and daddy a whole lot. But we're your family. Nuh-uh, you're my friends. I want my family. So you don't love us anymore? Of course I do, but I love my family even more. There's a prolonged silence. Well, it happens eventually. Always happens eventually. Come on, let's get you to your family. Approximately 5 minutes of footsteps. Steve, I think we're lost. I know, dearie, I know. What's that thing? It looks scary. You said you wanted your family, didn't you, Haley? Well, come on, this will take you right to them. Promise? Of course, Haley, I would never lie to you. Well, okay. The sound of hissing as well as assorted beeps and whirring. See you soon, sister. Haley screaming. At this point, the audio transmission device ceased functioning. Incident report Zeta. Agent Fredericks returned to 1357 unauthorized the day following the previously described events and proceeded to kill approximately 30 instances of A while shouting obscenities. Fredericks ceased firing upon viewing a subject that appeared to be Haley Fredericks, who approached the front entrance of 1357. The subject hugged Agent Fredericks and said, I told you I don't want to leave yet. Subsequently, 2 instances of A approached the agent and rendered him unconscious via blows to the head. Agent Fredericks has been issued a warning for unprofessional behavior and damaging the anomaly. Incident report 1357 ETA. Agent Fredericks was allowed to oversee testing of 1357 on October the 16th, 2005. During experimentation, Fredericks used a spare instance of B and entered the area independent of the test subjects. Fredericks saw out the subject resembling Haley Fredericks and reportedly attempted to converse with it. The subject did not respond, and Fredericks ceased attempted communication after approximately 15 minutes, then left the park. Site directors note, as of October 16th, Agent Fredericks is required to attend a minimum of 8 counseling sessions with the on-site psychologist, Dr. Yeats. Furthermore, Fredericks has been hereby reassigned to SCP something else that is forbidden from working with 1357, Site Director Langley. Audio log Psi. The following log was transcribed from an intercepted telephone call to 1357 using the number from the pamphlet provided with every delivery of B. One of the voices has been positively identified as that belonging to Haley Fredericks. Hello, you've reached Playland, the perfect place for family fun. How may I help you? I want my daughter back. I'm sorry, sir, but I'm afraid your daughter wanted to stay with us. You can always visit, though. Just let us know. We'll send you 2 complimentary tickets. I think she wants to stay, though. So, the Foundation calls this man his daughter and, like, don't even care. That tracks. Northern Lights. The Northern Lights are Euclid. Why was the park safe? Like, I guess the park was safe because when normal people go to the park, they have fun at the park and then they go home. But the Foundation's like, hey, do the thing. And they said, don't do the thing. And the Foundation said, keep doing the thing. And now that man doesn't have a daughter anymore. And it's probably crazy now. Whoops. So anyway, the perimeter of 1358 is to be fenced off and patrolled from 1930 to 730 by guards dressed in local police uniforms. Be quiet, ambulances or whatever kind of help that is outside. Thank you. Local police uniforms who are to rotate every 3.5 hours. Any sign of wear is to be repaired immediately. So what does that say? All times listed are subject to change in correspondence to varying daylight hours caused by changing seasons. Unauthorized personnel are to be informed the area is restricted and ordered to leave. Those reluctant to do so are to be detained for questioning. In the event that 1358 is entered for any reason, personnel are to carry omnidirectional flashlights. You mean lanterns? Instances of one that stray within 5 meters of the perimeter are to be exposed to floodlights until retreat or disappearance. Description: 1358 is an area of land, something square kilometers, located somewhere in Canada. It is heavily forested and experiences snowfall most of the time. For the majority of the day, 1358 lacks any anomalous properties. From 1930 to 730, it becomes inhabited by entities henceforth referred to as One. One appears to be animated, illuminated outlines of humanoid figures. They display signs of intelligence, occasionally performing coordinated and complex movements. However, instances of One usually appear to wander aimlessly throughout the area. All attempts to communicate with them have been met with hostility, and any have otherwise been deemed a failure. No further attempts to communicate are planned at this time. At 6:30, all entities freeze in place. As the sun rises, the illumination of the entities appears to wane, the outlines blurring until they resemble solid masses of dim light. By 7:30, all instances of One have faded completely. This effect can also be replicated with artificial light, although to a lesser degree, and will usually provoke the entity to retreat before disappearance. So just use UV lights. One display the ability to locate human life anywhere within the area of 1358. In the event of human introduction into the area, they converge on the subject until making contact. Subjects who come into contact with One will involuntarily tense up, effectively paralyzing them. Instances of One then begin climbing onto each other's shoulders until level with the apex of the closest tree. The subject is then transported up this ladder and placed at the peak of the tree, where they remain until vanishing along with One. This is unique to humans. Entities ignore all other fauna introduced to the area. How either of the entities or the subject retain their balance is unknown at this time. Addendum A. Reports of unusual behavior by One. On April the 12th, 1989, all the instances materialized on top of trees and stayed there until they disappeared. Humans introduced into the area were ignored. November 23rd, 1992, at 2:30, all instances joined hands and surrounded the nearest tree. At 4:48, they all disappeared spontaneously. On January 15th, 1997, at 18:30, guards on duty reported hearing whispering. One did not appear until 2:47. At 3, all of them became stationary and appeared to look up, remaining this way till disappearing. Reports of whispering continued until 8:12. On July 9th, 2002, at 22:37, all instances of One formed ladders similar to those during human interaction. No human presence was detected inside the zone. At 12 minutes after 12, all ladders began to converge on a central location. Once together, the ladders fell backwards and remained stationary on the ground until disappearance. And on December the 9th, 2002, One didn't even appear. At 7:30, continuous screaming was heard from within 1358. Upon investigation, a man later identified as D39411 was found at the top of a tree. At 7:51, 3 minutes after locating the source of the screaming, he stopped screaming and fell from the tree. Autopsy revealed he died from a skull fracture. Okay. Okay. Is it only called the Northern Lights because it's light creatures in the north? Because it's a little cheeky. Indulgence in flesh. Euclid, I feel like this one's gonna be a little, Let's find out. SCP-1359 and accurate pictographic depictions thereof may only be observed remotely by physically restrained disposable dudes. Any organism, including aforementioned disposable dudes, that does visually observe 1359 or an accurate pictograph depiction thereof, or attempts to enter the containment is to be restrained and, at project staff discretion, either terminated or, once no longer visually observing it, or accurate pictographic depiction thereof, administered to Class C amnestic. As an additional precaution, any non-disposable dudes assigned to the project to the SCP who are exposed to its effect are to be reassigned to a different project. Okay. It is to be housed in a standard size humanoid living quarters with attached medical suite, shielded on all sides by 10 centimeters of reinforced steel. See document 1359-3B for detailed medical suite, blah blah blah. Any opening in this shielding large enough for an adult human to fit through must only be accessible by a double airlock conforming to access denial level 4 standards. To qualify as access denial level 4, an airlock must be filled with nitrous oxide by default and require the simultaneous cooperation of at least 3 people to operate any function. Is this one another succubus or is something else happening here? Routine monitoring is to be done by an echolocative imaging system and live audio recordings. The user interface of the echolocative imaging system must be programmed to only visually represent 1359 in an abstract manner, e.g. as a rectangular prism or a generic stick figure. Whenever possible, care and maintenance of 1359 is to be carried out by automated or semi-automated systems. If for any reason it requires medical care, it must be carried out remotely by medical personnel operating by echolocative and haptic feedback. Any object stained with its blood or other bodily fluids must be disposed of by incineration without human interaction. 1359 is to be outfitted with a heart rate monitor to confirm life, an implanted radio tag to confirm location, and a prosthetic foot? If the heart rate rises or drops outside of its expected range, an alarm will go off and staff are to make verbal contact over installed speakers to confirm its safety. It is to be provided with a working computer console on a closed network by which it can submit requests, access for approved entertainment media, and contact its assigned medical and psychiatric team via a Foundation proprietary instant messenger. As 1359 suffers from post-traumatic stress disorder and recurrent depression, it is not to be provided with any sharp implement. If for some reason 1359 must be removed from its containment, it is to be provided with a burqa of appropriate size modified to have mirror-coated plastic surface covering the face veil portion. Before being allowed to leave its containment chamber, restrained disposable dudes must confirm by a video feed that no part of the body is visible. Description: SCP-1359 is a human female of Northern European descent with the birth date something. She is 168 centimeters tall and weighs an average of 62 kilograms. She is missing her right eye, which apparently is its own SCP story. Let's open that in a new tab. Right ear, right foot, and the little ring and middle fingers on her left hand. She also has heavy scarring from the removal of strips of skin. Or so it sounds like she's not a succubus, but that people keep trying to eat her? Maybe? Any organism that visually observes 1359 or an accurate pictographic depiction thereof will be overcome with a single-minded determination to gain access to them, to her, remove some part of her body, and eat it. Once a portion has been successfully removed and fully consumed, the urge to continue consuming subsides until the eaten portion is fully passed through the digestive system. When questioned, people affected by 1359 are unable to provide a coherent motive for assaulting or consuming/attempting to consume parts of her. They are not inhibited from identifying their actions as wrong on an intellectual level, and most still retain a cannibalism taboo after the fact, but they are unable to attach appropriate negative emotional responses, e.g. remorse, disgust, to the act of attacking 1359, the act of eating a portion of her, the act of attempting to perform either the previous property damage or harm to themselves or others caused by their efforts to carry out their compulsion, or the sound at any volume of 1359 petitioning them to halt their actions. Such as will otherwise high levels of empathy may become distressed when made aware of this emotional dissonance, but will still not be able to directly attach negative emotions to the above listed events. In double-blind tests in which subjects were presented with 5 different hair or blood samples, one of which belonged to 1359, subjects consumed the samples belonging to 1359 without prompting 100% of the time. 85% of subjects reported a sense of great peace and satisfaction after consuming it. Addendum: 1359 was brought to the Foundation's attention after she contacted police to report that she had been abducted and held in the basement of one Dr. Blank Blank, a civilian surgeon, for a period of 6 years. The first responders fell under its effect, and automatic 911 dispatch key phrase monitoring flagged the incident for intervention by Mobile Task Force Iota 10, aka Damn Feds. 1359 incurred minimal damage during initial containment by offering its hair to responding operatives. Dr. B was taken into custody and treated for a concussion, broken leg, and spinal injuries inflicted by 1359 with a crutch prior to making its 911 call, or hers. Later interrogation of the doctor corroborated her story with the additional information that he only began eating parts after roughly the first 2 years of her captivity, and developed a highly ritualistic process for his cannibalism over a few months. Looks like those documents are not actually here. He was diagnosed with severe erotomania, with 1359 as the target of his delusions. After a review by a human resources panel, the doctor was designated D under Protocol 12. Addendum. The parents were located and interviewed on something. Let's see. See document, that's not here. They were unable to provide photographs of 1359, and when pressed, admitted to having started consuming their photographs about 2.5 years after the initial disappearance. They were administered Class B amnestics and are being monitored as minor persons of interest. Investigation into persons possessing yearbooks with photographs in them revealed that 43% of them had removed and consumed the photographs featuring 1359 sometime after the same 2.5-year period cited by the parents. 80% of that 43% possessed yearbooks from the year before the disappearance. So it sounds like something happened to them after being captured that made it start happening to people? Let's see. Feet climb 9 steps and 4. Feet bring him to my door. 1359. Hands pry pine wide, push chairs aside, begins to chide, I cannot hide. Hand grimes a glass of wine, hand grasps a fork and knife. I whine and cry, I ask him why. Mouth speaks a lie, he picks my eye. Line of tines clear no more, a line of tines makes it poor. Tongue probes my eye, jelly globs fly, I feel him sigh, I want to die. Feet take him to my door, feet climbs 9 steps and 4. Okay, so that doesn't really explain anything, it just sounds like the doctor ate their eye? I don't know. But, so that's going to do it for this episode. And the next one, we're going to be starting with 1360 PSHUD number 31, which I guess is a comic book or something. An animal byproduct, the Cartographer's Guild, possessed virus, and ultra vulnerable mammal. If you like this video, a like and a subscribe will be groovy. If you didn't, you don't need to do either one of those things. If you want to click the bell, you can do that as well so that you're notified of future uploads whenever those happen to be. And I couldn't really say when they're going to be. I just mainly want to upload this one today to show that I'm like, despite the fact that I keep writing out messages saying I'm still alive, what better way to actually prove it than to post something? And it works out since the thing mentions the 13th and today is the 13th. So yeah, this video will be going up today, February 13th. And I don't know when you're going to hear from me again, but you will. So thanks for watching, and I'll see y'all in the next one. Later.